All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, guys, we're going to be checking out Blue Yellow Ace. This is coming out of the ST13 starter deck, coming out on Friday this week. At the time you're recording this video, tomorrow, this deck is coming out for us over here in the West. Now we will only have access to the OP06 stuff, and before we will not have access to EB01 for another 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know the exact date. And then excuse me, and then OP07, I think is like 2 months away, but that's okay. What we really want is EB01. EB01 is very, very, it gives this deck a very strong card we'll talk about as we go through some of the decks, about talking about how to run this leader and get the most advantage out of it. So just to do a quick overview, we're going to be checking out some decks from the East first to get some inspiration, some, see what's winning over in the East, try to see which direction they're going with the deck and see what's working for them. Then we're going to check out some games on the sim. I've got a spicy list I'm running on the sim, guys. It was a lot of fun to play this leader with. And then last but not least, we'll do some final thoughts discussion at the end. And one more thing I want to really stress, guys, is I'm not using any cards from EB01 or OP07 because those are not available to us yet in the West. But this deck will be in literally just 1 day from the time me posting this video. So let's dive into it, guys. You know what you're getting into. Let's start off here by just reading what does the leader even do. So first of all, it's a 5,000 power, 4-life leader. Everything is standard there for a dual color leader. It has Dawn ×2, activate main once per turn. Excuse me. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and then add up to 1 cost 5 character card to the top of your life face up. Wow. Okay. So you're doing a top 5 search, right? And you can only grab 5 cost characters. That's it. No 5 cost events, no 4 cost and lower characters. It has to be exactly 5. Exactly 5 cost. And you're going to add it to the top of your life face up. Now, that's important. Then you're going to place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. That's not as important. But you're going to put the card face up in your life. Okay, but what does this say at the end here? At the end of your turn, you have to trash all face up cards from your life. Okay, so let me say this real quick before we go any further. Ace is probably going to be the hardest deck to use out of the 3 brothers. I think Red Yellow Sabo can do a lot of insanely cool tricks, but I think it's a pretty straightforward deck. Other than that, Black Yellow Luffy again has incredible combos you're going to be able to just pop off with, but it's a pretty straightforward deck once you understand how it works. There are a few intricacies you're going to have to learn how to do properly, especially with sequencing and things like that. But Blue Yellow Ace, I think, is going to be, you have to be pretty creative, you have to be pretty witty to make this deck function properly. At least that's been my experience on the sim, and y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. So with that leader effect, there's 2 things we need to consider. Okay, how are we going to get advantage from these cards that are going to the top of our life face up when at the end of the turn they have to go away? The card, gets trashed, right? Yeah, trash all face up life cards. So how are we going to get some advantage from that? How can we generate advantage from that? That's number 1. And number 2 is how many 5 cost targets do we have access to realistically to put into the deck? So that's what we're going to focus on when we're going over these, when we're reviewing these lists. So first up, this is a 5-0 flagship first place deck list from the East, and it's only running EB01. It has ST13 and EB01, which we'll have access to in a few weeks over here in the West. But notice this, guys, the only card in here that is from EB01 is the card I was referencing earlier, is Flampe. This card is really nice with the leader's effect. Understand what happens. Let's just say we do a top 5 search with our Ace, right? And let's just say we get Satori from it. We don't have to get one of the 3 brothers. So let's say we snag Satori from the top with the leader search. So, okay, how are we going to use this card? It's just going to get destroyed at the end of the turn. It's going to get trashed. Well, that's where Flampe comes in. Flampe's a 2K counter, so it's like, okay, you're going to play this card out. Oh, man, you lose your 2K counter, right? Well, not really, because you're going to draw that Satori from the top of your life to generate some card advantage. And then you're going to draw another card from your deck with this character's on-play effect. You guys realize how powerful that is, right? Like, there's some very, very strong potential there, very strong synergy. And another thing I need to stress is, remember, with this leader's effect, you're not really gaining life. You're just trying to put a card on top of your life that you can use to your advantage for later, either that turn or later in the game. So that's kind of the idea here. So naturally, the first cards that might come to your mind are these 5 cost brother cards, because you're going to be able to cheat them into play right away. So in other words, if you do a top 5 search with your leader and you put a Sabo, let's just say, actually let's just do Ace, and you put Ace on top of your life, well then you can play from your hand the 2 cost Ace right here, and just play the card right into play, or put it right into play from your life. And again, it's not that you were gaining life with this leader's effect. It's just that you were using that card in the way that the deck was designed. When they that was their intent when they put the deck together on how to play it. But good players want to find ways around that. How can we manipulate that? How can we get more out of that effect? How can we abuse it, right? That's where Hiyori comes in. With Hiyori, you technically can gain life with this deck. Because what you'll do is, like, let's go back to the Satori example again. So, okay, you do a top 5 search with your leader's effect, put Satori on top. Play out Hiyori to take that top card, replacing the 2K counter you just left, that you just lost playing out Hiyori, right? So that's all perfect. But then you're going to put a card from your hand to the top of your deck, face down, right? And just normally set it. And in that case, let's just say you have no life cards left, right? Let's just say you have 0 life. You can still use this leader's effect. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm like 99% sure that that's how it works, and that is how it's functioning on the sim for those who are curious. but yeah, this you'll be able to, like, say you have 0 life. Okay, well, I'll just add a card to my life, and then I will use Hiyori to grab that card back. Let's say it was Satori, like we said. Now I'm back to 0 life, but the Hiyori lets me put a card face down back into my life. So we'll put 200 million volts of Maru there. Now, when you go to attack my last life, I'm going to get another life from it. You see what I'm saying? And that's going to just be able to, potentially, sneak victories in games. But other than that, guys, like, the deck is pretty straightforward. The 2K counters in this deck there's quite a few of them. Actually, there's 4 Satori, 4 Hiyori, 4 Flampe, and 2 Suru. This is a new one from OP06. Well, it's not new, I guess, but like for us in the West, it's kind of newer. It's a 5 cost, 4,000 power, 2K counter. That's all it has to be. The effect is okay, but that's not really. This is just like a auxiliary 2K counter, because it says you may trash 2 cards from your hand and return one of your opponent's characters to its owner's hand. That does have some nice utility, but at the same time, we're not ever going to want to use this effect unless we can bounce like a Kaido back to their hand, or like some 10 cost card they played last turn. So that way we can try to continue through the game or something. I don't even know. But the idea is this. How many 5-cost characters are there in the deck? Satori, Sabo, Ace, Luffy, and the Suru card. So that's 18 cards, right? 4, 8, 12, 16, 18 cards. 18 5-cost characters, 14 2K counters, because remember we got 4 Hiyori, 4 Satori, and 4 Flampe, and then 2 Suru. So 14 2K counters, 18 5-cost cards, and then everything else is just a setup card. You notice that? I don't know who all has watched my video on like advanced deck building, but there's your archetype for this deck. You have an entire group, like your primary focus are your 5-cost characters. That is number 1, right? Your 5-cost characters is your number 1 focus for this leader's effect. The second part is how do we get these cards into life? And that's where you get like 4 Hiyori, 4 Sabo, or excuse me, how do you get your cards from life into play, or how do you manipulate that? And that's where you get the Hiyoris, the Sabos. Let's see, there's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and yeah, 20. 20 cards that allow you to cheat them into play. Those are your 2 primary focuses in this deck. And then the very last part of that is just pure utility. Everything else is utility from there. 2K counters, or some type of search ability with cards like this, and then these really strong. And this deck doesn't really run finishers, but it kind of does, right? Like 200 million volts of Maru is a finisher, or something to save you from being finished, right? It's like a yin-yang type of thing where you got good offense, good defense with it. So really well-made deck, and I can see how this deck got first place. Okay, that was a little long-winded. The rest of the decks we're not going to spend as much time on. We had to look at those, though, just to get an idea. We're going to look at some of the newer ones to talk about new cards coming out. Actually, we're just going to look at this most recent one, and to kind of show you the direction the deck is trending now. So notice this list here is very different. This is running a lot of new cards. Like it's running the new Luffy card. This is a 5 cost that KOs a 4 or less, lets you draw a card. It's running the new Boa Hancock from OP07. It's running the new Ace. This is a new 5 cost card we'll have access to once we get to OP07. It seems like it was really made for this deck, guys. Like, I mean, look how strong. It's a 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1K counter blocker. This is Blue's version of Sabo now, right? This is basically Blue's version of like the black Sabo blocker. This is their version. Draw 2, then return 2 from your hand to the top or bottom of your deck in any order. That's massive, right? Because you can draw 2 and then set 2 cards to the top that you want to get from the leader effect and things like that. And now you have this really strong blocker. It's costed at 5, so you're going to be able to cheat it into play with the little character. Outstanding. Just the direction. I'm not going to spend much time with this. Just screenshot this. or go check it out on OnePieceTopDecks.com if you want to analyze it yourself. But just to give you guys a direction on where the deck's going, I think this is a really good include, guys. I'm not going to lie. Gravity Blade Raging Tiger, I feel like I talk about this card every other video. 7 cost, put 2 6 or less cards on the bottom of their owner's deck. Like 2 6 or less characters on the bottom of their owner's deck. And trigger pops a 5 or less. It puts at the bottom of the owner's deck. Very, very strong. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and hop into some games. I got 3 games lined up for you. Running Blue Yellow Ace with just the ST13 package. Okay, speed is at 2x, volume's off. We are good to go. Let me move my camera, and we're off to the races here. All right, so I'm running Big Mom or Queen Mama Chanter. I thought it was Big Mama Chanter. Queen Mama Chanter stage. Because remember what I was saying. Sorry, I'm just gonna let this kind of play out for now. Nothing too exciting. The big thing about Ace's effect is we need to find ways to manipulate our life to generate advantage from it. And that Queen Mama Chanter card allows you to draw the top card of your life and then place a 3 cost, and then you may place up to 1 cost 3 character at the top of your life. We just won't do that part. We'll just draw the card from our life every single time. You see what I mean? Then I use Hiyori there to set it. I might have done that in the wrong order. I might have been able to get more advantage from that. I'm not exactly sure, but that worked out fine. I know what the top card of my life is. It's a Kikanojo. I'm going to get that in play from his last attack, and now I can start eating up the board with the cards I've used here on the board. One thing I did notice, I don't think a lot of Ace decks were running the Kikanojo interaction, but I think it's pretty good. I understand it's not a 5-cost card, so it doesn't contribute to our 2 primary themes of how does it manipulate our life and how does it, you know, well, how do I say it? 5-cost character or life manipulation. It's neither of them, but I do think it's a strong utility card that can be manipulated from life. And if they KO it, sure, we'll gain life. So it kind of it does in a pseudo way, you know, adjust our life. Okay, so he's going to play out a 4-2. I'm playing against Red Yellow Sabo. He's running the Revolutionary Army version of the deck, which I do not think is good, guys. I am sorry, I don't think it's good. And right here, he played out, he cheated out a card with Ivankov. I'm like, thank you very much, because otherwise I wouldn't have a good target for my Gravity Blade Raging Tiger, and I throw both of his characters away. That card, guys, I'm running. I'll show you the deck list at the end of the video. I'm running 2 Red Rocks. Those can probably go, at least in ST13. I don't think there's really, I mean, it will let you deal with cards like Gecko Moria. But I almost think that, like, 3,000 Worlds would be better than Red Rock in this specific deck. Not to say there's anything wrong with Red Rock. You always have to make deck choices based off of like what meta you're dealing with at the time. And right now, I just think 3,000 Worlds deals with everything I need to. It's going to be able to deal with all the 5-cost cards from Black Yellow Luffy, Blue Yellow Ace, Red Yellow Sabo. And it's 2 costs less. And then you're still going to have access to Gravity Blade Raging Tiger to hit all the 6 or lower characters. Okay, so this guy's telegraphing his plays here. He's going to swing 7. I think he messes up here. You cannot return a 1-cost character to your life. I think he messed up there, and he just surrenders. He absolutely messed up. So understand with Red Yellow Sabo, I know we're not talking about Red Yellow Sabo today, but that effect says you have to use a cost 3 or more character that has 7,000 power or more. You can't start pushing back your 1 and 2 cost characters. It has to be 3 or more cost. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so that's it for that game. That was a fun one. Ace, Blue Yellow Ace, and notice what was in my life. By the way, I had another Kikanojo coming. I think that card's just good. I mean, I know a lot of people don't think it is. I know there's weaknesses to it, like you can easily, you know, just bottom deck it or bounce it back to hand and you don't get any effect from it. But with a deck like Blue Yellow Ace, I feel like I can just keep generating value from it. Okay, so I go second with this deck often. I think going first with the other list we looked at is smart, but in this deck, and that's once we get EB01, remember guys, that's when we get EB01 when we have Flampy. But this Queen Mama Chanter stage is working as my Flampy, you know, in this version of the deck. It's not nearly as good, but I'm just trying to I'm just trying to use what I have access to. So put Ace on top. I'm going to swing 7 at face here. I'm going to swing 9 at face with my leader. He's contemplating a trigger right now. Let's see what he does. No trigger. Swing 9 at face. He gets a Neko Mamushi. That is so nice with the leader's effect there. I was able to put that 7-cost Ace on top of my life, and then I was able to eat it up with my, my 2-cost Ace to just start swinging. Okay, swings 5 Neko Mamushi. I don't know what this guy was thinking. I'm at 7,000 power, so that just bounced. Then he sets a card to the top of his life. 200 million volts of Maru. He swings in for 9. I can easily counter out of this with a 2K and a 1K, and I do with Makino and Gidatsu. Makino is decent as well, being able to set your life cards, but it's not as good in Ace as it is in like Black Yellow Luffy, unfortunately. It still has utility, but it's just not the same. Okay, so I get Ace on top, but here's the thing. I don't have a way to cheat Ace into play like I did the first turn, or the turn prior when I had the mini Ace. So what do I do here? I got to figure it out. I can either draw it with my Queen Mama Chanter, or I can change it with my Hiyori into a Kikanojo. And that is the right call. So I'm just counting up right here. So I'm going to swing 9, see what he gets. He got a Onami to KO my Ace, but I'm going to pull the other Ace I had back and replace it with Kikanojo. So now when he attacks into me, I'm like, sure, well, I don't remember if I take this. I think I have to. Excuse me, I don't have any counter. So I get a Kikanojo trigger, of course, like we already planned, and then another Ace. And then he swings in. I'm at 1 life, but I've got some big attackers coming in here potentially. And I also have another Ace in hand. So I swing 6 at life just to see what he gives me. Swing 7 at life. So he had to take that one. No trigger. Well, now you're in a lot of trouble because I'm just going to load up 6, or what is it? Yeah, 6 on, swing for 12. I was contemplating here. I was like, let me do the math. If he actually has all 2K counters or like something similar, he actually could win this game here, but he did not. I figured he had at least a Hody Jones and at least 1 event, because usually that's how Green Yellow Yamato is. Everything would have had been a 2K counter otherwise. Okay, so that was it for that one. Again, you know, the stage is kind of more spicy than anything. I don't think it's the best option for this deck, but it sure was a lot of fun to play, or a lot of fun to use. All right, going against Red Purple Law. This should be pretty interesting here. This should be pretty interesting. He starts out with a Gordon, totally disrespects me like that, right? Knowing like, oh, you don't have any removal, so I'm just going to play out Gordon. And he's right. I don't have any removal. I run Gidatsu in my list, but I just didn't see it, unfortunately. He's going to swing 5. I'm very happy about that, actually, because I want to attack something on the board, not something... I don't want to attack his life. I want to attack the board and start eating up cards from hand. And he has no counter. The Zoro goes away on the first attack there. So now he is going to be able to use his Gordon, obviously, on my Kikanojo, but I'm okay with that, right? Like, let me set him back Dawn here and try to make it further into the game, because I have a pretty defensive hand, 2 2K counters and then double events. So I'm pretty good here. I'll take this one. I get an Ace. I'm going to have to either 2K out of this or take it. And 5, I shouldn't, you know, there's no reason for me to take. I probably should have 2K'd out of the other one as well, but that's okay. So right here, going down to 2 life, though, is important so that my Ace can get his effect off. So swing 7 into the Chihuahua. Got another card out of his hand because I swung 6 into it first to get a 2K counter out of his hand, and then I ate it up with Ace. And now, okay, he loads up. He loads up for 8 and swings at face here. I'm like, okay, theoretically, I can take this one and just 2K counter out of the other attacks, and then he didn't attack. It was like, oh, crap, you know, like, that's not good. But that's all right. We did finally get a Gidatsu. I do run 4 in the deck. We get a Gidatsu, pop the Reiju. It didn't matter which one I popped. Both of them have on-play effects, so it doesn't matter. I used my Leader's Effect here. Or did I? I don't know what I just did. Yeah, I think I did my Leader's Effect and sent everything to the bottom. It happens. I didn't want to just lose the card. But I guess I could... You know, looking back, hang on. So I'm still kind of learning how to use this deck, right? Like, I still need to... I'm still... Oh, that was too fast. I'm still learning how to use the deck. Let me pause. So what I could have done here, technically, is I could have put that Luffy on top of my deck, and then I could have played out the Makino to draw it, and then just to see what my last life card was. But at the same time, that's not really... Like, I'd rather keep the 2K counter in hand, is what I'm going for, because I'm definitely up against the ropes here. He can take me out at any time if he has enough rushers. So maybe I did do that correctly. It's hard to say. I don't remember. You know, when I'm playing these games, I don't remember exactly what's going on. I'm just trying to survive for each one of these turns. Okay, so I have a lot of counter power in hand, which is good. I have 1 life and then just straight counter power in hand. So I should be fine here to survive. So 5, I've got to give a 1K counter here. I just give him the Luffy because I don't really need that card anyway in this matchup. Swing 5, I 2K counter out of it. And let's see what he does. He's and we have this in 2x speed, guys. I'm sorry. Don't we? Yeah, 2x speed. Just wait on him to make his choice here. And he knows, you know, he has to spend a lot of time on this decision because this is the end, right? He has to win here or not, pretty much. Swing 7. I'm like, okay, I got to give you a 2K, 1K there. Returned 3. play out Kid Killer, 7 into my guy. I can't let that card go because I have to go for game this turn, or I have to destroy the board. I have to eat the board up. Like, I'm at that position in the game. So right here, I'm like, okay, he has 5 cards in hand, and he only has to block one of my attacks. I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to try and just eat the board. I'm just, like, I don't want to give him any more cards. I think I try to just eat the board here. Or maybe I go for game? No. I'll say I'm pretty sure. So 9 into 5. He really, really thinks about this decision for a while here. Okay, and I think it ends up going away. And that kind of told me, okay, he doesn't have more than 4K in counter, so I need to just try to eat up the rest of the board and just go next turn. And that's like my only chance. So here we go. And I do have, you know, basically 3,000 power in counter in my hand. Let's see what he does. Again, we're just waiting on him to make the decision. It's in 2x speed. Come on, buddy. What are you going to do? I'm like, yeah, he lets it go. And I'm like, all right, 9 into Zoro. And the rest into your Shashi and Penguin guy. Now, this is why I think he gives up here. Hang on 1 second. You should never give up. Like, I'm just going to say that right now. I don't remember exactly what happens here, but let's see what he has. Because I just have to block out of, like, 1 attack to survive if he does, like, a double rush turn. Okay. Just waiting on him, guys. He is really deep in the tank right now. And, like I said, I'm pretty sure he just gives up here. And it's like, dude, you know, at least try. At least try to win the game here. Okay, he does at least swing. So I have to take this one. Okay? Like, I couldn't block out of it. And then he's going to attach, or he's going to load pay 3, play out the Zoro, swing 6, I 2K counter out, and then he just gives up. Pause. Let me pause it. Like, it's like, dude, you can survive my 3 attacks. Like, theoretically, right? Like, theoretically, this guy can survive my 3 attacks. So, why not just try to go next turn? Because if I can't block your leader next turn, I just lose. You know what I mean? Let's see. If I tried to go for game, he has a 2K counter at his top life card. So, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 2. He has 6,000 counter in hand. I would have absolutely kept trying. Never give up, guys. That's the moral of the story for this one here. This is a game I shouldn't have won, but I did because my opponent gave up. He assumed that he could, you know, that I could win with what was on board when I couldn't. He could have blocked out of 2 of my attacks this turn if he needed to. He could have blocked out of an attack for 9 with a 2K. Well, excuse me. He probably could have only blocked out of 1, but that's all he needed. He only needed to block out of 1 attack and he wins. So interesting stuff there. Interesting deck, the blue yellow ace deck. Let me show you what I was running. These Mama Chanters, guys. Let me move my face real quick. There we go. These Mama Chanters, they were fun. They were more of a meme than anything. But at the same time, it kind of did work where I was able to just, you know, when I didn't have a card to set up my life, like, you know, with the 2-cost guys or my utility 2K counters, no big deal. I can just draw it in. I can at least just draw a card from it. But one thing I will say is, out of the 3 brothers, I think this one it needs a little more help. Like, I think it really needs the 5-cost ace card that's getting an OP07. But the list that we did already look at, the list, let me go back. This list was pretty good. Let me go to ace, and it was this first one. This 5-0 flagship one, I think this list was pretty solid, guys. And it's going to come down to user skill. It's going to come down to, like, how well you play. That will show how good the deck can be. And I don't know who he played against. Who knows how this flagship was? Maybe he just got perfect matchups against what he, you know, got what he needed. That happens. Sometimes you high roll a tournament with your matchups. Hey, you know, we'll take that every single time. But just back to this deck. Like, the Kikinojo can probably go. I don't think it's, like, the most beneficial thing for what we're trying to do with this kind of deck. The Red Rocks are just too slow. I don't think I used a single one unless it was from a trigger. Excuse me. And the Mama Chanter, like I said, it's cute and all, but I think it would just be better off as, like, the Flampy once we get a EB01. The Ace is outstanding. The Gadatsu's nice. The Shirahoshi was nice too, I'm not going to lie, but there's better options here. Like, as soon as we get the 7-cost, or excuse me, the 5-cost Ace, this would immediately swap out positions with it, like where you could just go up to 4 of these Shirahoshis instead of, or go up 4 of the blue Aces instead of the Shirahoshi. This immediately becomes Flampy, this Makino. Kikinojo, like, there's a lot of things that can change out from there, but the core of the deck I think is pretty straightforward, because I think the core of the deck is 4 Satori, 4 Hiyori, 4 Flampy instead of Makino, and then you've got the Ace and Rush counterparts here, and the Ace and the Ace and Luffy, that gets better as well, like we already looked at. You know, the Ace and Luffy just get better. And this guy's even running Sabo instead of Luffy. Oh, no, excuse me. He's running all of them. That's something you'll have to do some consideration about, or you'll have to consider for yourself how you want to run the deck. It probably, and hey, this guy did very well. Like I said, 5-0. Maybe that's something to try out next for the list. Is just go straight, you know, Sabo, Ace, and Luffy, just the full life interaction package with like these really solid 2K counters that have incredible utility. But yeah, that's about it, guys. I'm just rambling at this point. If you guys have any comments, questions, suggestions, whatever, please post them down in the comment section below. And I have to say, man, I'm really looking forward to ST13. I'm actually excited to want to play something now. Like I felt, I'm not going to lie, because I'm always looking into the future of the sets coming out in the East and the stuff coming out in the East. It's just like, I don't know. It's hard for me to want to just play with like what we see on the screen here, when we should have options like what we see on the screen here from the East. You know, with the new, you know, the new Luffy card, the new Ace card. It's just so incredible. And see, now that when we do get access to these, when we get access to this Ace and this new Luffy, notice he just cuts out the Sabos. Like Sabo's not even needed in the list anymore at this point. Even goes up to 4 Sanjis in this list. And this was another first place flagship event, and this was an OP07. So, you know, it does kind of wear on me a little bit, knowing like what potential these decks have, and knowing we won't be able to have access to them for like months in advance. But ST13 has just been incredible for me, like mentally, like to think about like, oh man, there are so many possibilities. Because like I've said about Red Yellow Sabo, we talked about that in yesterday's video, right? Red Yellow Sabo just looks like so much fun. Black Yellow Luffy's running the color pool that I really want to run more than anything. And this Blue Yellow Ace leader, I think this leader might have the best long-term success as the game goes on, you know, as it gets more and more options, as it gets more and more tools at its disposal, and people get better and better at playing it. I think this leader has a lot of potential. I could be wrong. We'll have to see, right? I'm not saying that it will be the best or not. I'm just saying that I could see where this might have the highest ceiling or something out of the 3 brothers. We'll have to see. Because Red Yellow Sabo, I think, has a pretty high ceiling as well. Like, the more rush cards that come out, the more 2K counter utility cards that come out for it, it just gets better and better, stronger and stronger. The more trigger cards that come out and so on. Right, that's it for me. I'm done rambling. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, if you have not already. And I hope you guys enjoyed. And until next time, peace.